Dean Martin as the Dude. Dean Martin, born Dino Paul Crocetti on June 7, 1917, in Steubenville, Ohio, was 42 when he took on one of his most poignant film roles as Dude, the fallen deputy, in the 1959 film Rio Bravo. At the height of his fame, Martin shed his Rat Pack charm to play a man ravaged by alcoholism and shame, struggling to find his dignity. It was a layered, haunting performance that proved he was more than just a suave balladeer or comedian. It revealed a wounded soul beneath the tuxedo. But Dean Martin's real life was even more dramatic than the movies. Born to Italian immigrants, Martin dropped out of school in the 10th grade, smuggled liquor during Prohibition, fought under the name Kid Crochet, and ran underground casinos before finding fame. While he captivated audiences with his smooth voice and natural charisma, behind closed doors he battled his demons. His comedy relationship with Jerry Lewis ended in bitterness, and 3 marriages collapsed under the weight of fame and distance. However, the biggest shock came in 1987 when his beloved son, Dean Paul, died in a jet crash at the age of 35. After that, Martin was never the same again. The once shining star began to drift away from the world, sad, quiet, and clearly broken. In his later years, Dean was a ghost of himself. He would spend evenings alone at a Beverly Hills restaurant, wearing the same suit, eating clam casino, and getting juice on his shirt. His daughter would occasionally join in, but he preferred silence to conversation, famously saying, "I don't mind small talk, it's the conversation that counts." His son's death extinguished something inside him. He refused treatment for chronic emphysema and died on Christmas Day 1995. At the age of 78, at his home in Beverly Hills, he was buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park, without ceremony, just quiet respect. At the time of his death, Dean Martin's net worth was estimated at $30 million. Harry Carey Jr., as Harold Harry Carey Jr., full name Henry George Carey Jr., was born on May 16, 1921 in Santa Clarita, California. When he appeared in the film Rio Bravo, 1959, he was 38 years old and played Harold, a humble townsman. His eyes and presence left a subtle but resounding mark in the life and death battle between justice and crime. Despite his small role, Carey Jr. was an indispensable character in the film. However, his life behind the camera was much sadder than the cowboy scenes he experienced. As the luster faded and Hollywood underwent a sea change, Carey Jr. was pushed to the margins. From being John Wayne's horseman and John Ford's absolute trust, he became a survivor in the ashes of the golden age of westerns. No scandal, no controversy, but oblivion hit him the hardest. He wrote a memoir, Company of Heroes, in 1994, but that was no grand statement. It was a call to a bygone era, one that had long since died. His 68-year marriage to Marilyn Fix was one of the few bright spots in an otherwise quiet life. They weren't rich, they didn't walk the red carpet, but they were there for each other when Hollywood forgot the name Harry Carey Jr. When his friends passed away, from John Ford to John Wayne, he remained, silently gnawing at his loneliness as a guardian of a cinematic legacy that no longer existed. Harry Carey Jr. died on December 27, 2012, in Santa Barbara, California, at the age of 91. The cause was confirmed to be natural causes, but for Western lovers, it was the end of a living icon of the cowboy era. His net worth is estimated at around $1 million, which is quite modest compared to what he has contributed to cinema. Ward Bond as Pat Wheeler Ward Bond, born April 9, 1903 in Benkelman, Nebraska, was 56 when he played Pat Wheeler in Rio Bravo, 1959. Bond brought courage and dignity to the role of the respected boxcar owner who offers to help Sheriff John Chance, only to be shot and killed in a shocking death that chilled audiences and eerily mirrored Bond's own tragic fate just a year later. Behind his rugged charm and commanding presence on screen, Bond lived a life of pain, loneliness, and behind-the-scenes drama. In 1939, he was in a car accident that left him with permanent leg injuries, but he continued to overcome the pain, appearing in over 200 films, including The Searchers and It's a Wonderful Life. Despite playing Major Seth Adams in the hit television series Wagon Train, fame did not come without peace. Bond had a bitter feud with co-star Robert Horton, stemming from jealousy. ego conflicts, and even rumors about Horton's sexual orientation that Bond allegedly spread. It is said that they reconciled just one day before Bond died, but it was too late. Bond never married, had no children, and devoted himself entirely to his career. In real life, he was extremely private and politically conservative, but it was his dedication to his craft that defined him. Sadly, on November 5, 1960, while taking a break from filming Wagon Train in Dallas, Bond suffered a massive heart attack in his hotel room. He was only 57 years old. His longtime friend John Wayne helped arrange his funeral and served as pallbearer. At the time of his death, Ward Bond had a net worth of about $500,000, modest by Hollywood standards, but amassed over 3 decades of hard work. John Wayne as Sheriff John T. Chance. John Wayne, born Marion Robert Morrison on May 26, 1907, in Winterset, Iowa, was 51 years old when he played Sheriff John T. Chance in the 1959 film Rio Bravo. In this classic Western, he plays the quintessential American hero, unyielding, proud and unyielding, fighting a violent gang with the help of a drunk, a child, and a crippled old man. His role is more than just a gun-toting sheriff. It is the epitome of American masculinity, a man defined by loyalty, honor, and courage with a gun. But the man behind the badge was much more complex and darker. Wayne lived a life of controversy, broken marriages, addiction to cigarettes and alcohol, and a political legacy that still divides people. A fierce anti-communist, he helped blacklist actors during the McCarthy era, starred in propaganda campaigns like the Green Berets, and was so right-wing that Stalin reportedly considered having him killed. And then came the 1971 Playboy interview, in which he blithely promoted white supremacy, belittled Native Americans as selfish, and derided gays as fags. His words were more than opinions. They were raw, unadulterated bigotry, and they burned the myth of the quintessential American cowboy like wildfire. Behind the scenes, his personal life was no less turbulent. His second wife, Esperanza Bauer, once held him at gunpoint in a jealous rage, calling him a vicious drunk. Wayne clashed with co-stars, alienated liberals, and used his position to promote a version of America that many now consider dangerously outdated. Yet the world still admired his exaggerated image. He was the Marlboro Man with a film crew, an icon of a fading America. John Wayne died on June 11, 1979, at the age of 72 after battling lung cancer and then stomach cancer, the result of smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. He died at UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles. His grave remained unmarked for 20 years until an inscription in Spanish was added in 1999. Feo, fuerte, y formal, ugly, strong, and respect. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $7 million, earned from over 170 films. Malcolm Atterbury as Jake. Malcolm Atterbury was born on February 20, 1907 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He appeared in the classic film Rio Bravo, 1959, at the age of 52, playing Jake, a quiet hotel clerk caught up in the chaos of a town conflict. Though a minor character, Jake represents the everyday man trying to survive amid mounting tensions, the silent backbone of a collapsing community. Off-screen, Atterbury had a modest but enduring career, often overshadowed by bigger names. He made a chilling cameo in Hitchcock's North by Northwest, 1959, delivering the haunting line, "Dust and crops where there are no crops." Despite his memorable roles, his name was rarely mentioned. Hollywood insiders whispered that his refusal to conform in network kept him in supporting roles, always a shadow rather than a star. Health problems plagued Atterbury throughout his life, forcing him to turn down major opportunities. It is said that he fought his illness quietly, choosing to work quietly in television and theater. His career was marked by small but essential roles, each with quiet dignity, while his real-life battles remained largely unknown. Malcolm Atterbury died on August 16, 1992, in Beverly Hills, at the age of 85. The cause of death was never released. He was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, the resting place of many Hollywood legends. Although his net worth is estimated at less than $1 million, his legacy lies not in his wealth, but in the depth he brought to even his briefest appearances as Russell the Cowboy. Pedro Gonzalez Gonzalez was born on May 24, 1925, in Aguilares, Texas. At age 34, he appeared in the 1959 classic Rio Bravo as Carlos Rabante, a kind-hearted Mexican hotelier who aids and shelters Sheriff John T. Chance during a tense confrontation with the Burdett gang. With his rapid-fire speech, expressive eyes, and lively charm, Pedro brought humor and humanity to a film full of action and gunfire. Behind the laughter, Pedro's life was a long and thorny road. Born into poverty, he spent his youth performing traditional Mexican folk songs with his family to make ends meet. His big break came not in a movie, but on Groucho Marx's 1953 television show You Bet Your Life, where his wit and energy caught the attention of Hollywood. But that energy became a double-edged sword. Hollywood relegated him to comedic, stereotypical Latino roles. Despite the disappointment, Pedro kept working, appearing in dozens of westerns and television shows like The High Chaparral and The Ford Show, bringing warmth and life to every frame. His journey has not been glamorous, and fame has never brought him riches. Pedro has spent decades in an industry that has few opportunities for black actors, but he has persevered with unparalleled optimism. He is often considered an unknown, but his 40-year career has proven otherwise. He was a survivor, a pioneer, and a beloved figure to generations of viewers who saw him as more than a caricature. His refusal to succumb to bitterness became his quiet triumph. Pedro Gonzalez Gonzalez died on February 6, 2006, at the age of 80, of natural causes at his home in Culver City, California. He leaves behind a modest net worth of about $500,000, built not on fame, but on grit. Walter Brennan as Stumpy. Walter Brennan, born July 25, 1894 in Lynn, Massachusetts, was 64 years old when he played the unforgettable role of Stumpy in Rio Bravo in 1959. Stumpy is a grumpy, limping, raspy-voiced, gun-toting prison guard. Though somewhat comical on the surface, Stumpy's fierce loyalty and extraordinary courage have made him one of Brennan's most iconic performances, and a testament to his incredible acting talent. But Brennan's legacy is not all rosy. Behind the scenes, he was a deeply conservative, paranoid, politically radical, and vocal about his beliefs. He was a staunch anti-communist, had ties to the John Birch Society, and reportedly encouraged the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., known for stockpiling weapons in his home bunker and criticizing the civil rights movement. Brennan embodied a form of Hollywood paranoia that is often erased from nostalgic memory. Despite his off-screen toxicity, he was the first actor to win 3 Best Supporting Actor Oscars, a feat that remains unachieved to this day. But even his talent could not completely shield him from the growing distance between his beloved on-screen persona and the bitter realities of real life. Physically, Brennan paid a heavy price for decades of chain smoking and hard work. By the 1970s, he was suffering from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and painful arthritis, but he never stopped acting. From real McCoys to supporting the local sheriff, he always showed up, tired but determined. He was married to his wife Ruth for more than 50 years, a rarity in the chaos of Hollywood, and carefully invested his earnings, quietly building a huge real estate fortune. Walter Brennan died on September 21, 1974, in Oxnard, California, at the age of 80. His cause of death was complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $10 million, a staggering sum for a supporting actor who had built his fortune through perseverance, talent, and a keen financial mind. Bing Russell was born on May 5, 1926, in Brattleboro, Vermont. He was 33 when he appeared in Rio Bravo in 1959, playing an unnamed cowboy, a non-speaking supporting character who exuded a rugged, stoic Western authenticity. With his razor-sharp eyes and slow, deliberate steps, Bing left a lasting impression, a silent ghost haunting the wild frontier. Before he made it to Hollywood, however, Bing pursued his dream of becoming a professional baseball player until a fastball hit him in the head, leaving him in a coma and unable to speak for weeks. The accident took away his athletic dreams, but opened another door. where he accepted a life as a supporting actor in the film industry. However, the harsh truth is that he never had a leading role despite appearing in over 100 films and television productions. At one point, he fell into depression, was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and had to undergo silent treatment for years, all the while smiling on screen and playing the strongest men in America. Bing Russell once shared that Hollywood was a harsh desert, where those who did not shine would be buried alive in oblivion. He clung to every role offered to him, from TV episodes like Bonanza to movies like The Magnificent Seven, just to support his family and quietly inspire his son, Kurt Russell, who would later become a real movie star. In addition to acting, Bing founded the Portland Mavericks, a semi-professional baseball team, as a form of revenge for his crushed youthful dreams. Under his leadership, the Mavericks became a symbol of American sports rebellion in the 1970s, challenging Major League convention. On April 8, 2003, Bing Russell died in Los Angeles after a long battle with cancer. He was 76 years old. His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at $10 million, largely due to film investments in managing the Mavericks baseball team. John Russell as Nathan Burdett. John Russell was born on January 3, 1921 in Los Angeles, California. At the age of 38, he appeared in the 1959 classic western Rio Bravo, playing the cold, powerful villain Nathan Burdett. Known for his towering stature and steely gaze, Russell delivered a chilling performance that cemented his status as a formidable villain during the golden age of Hollywood westerns. Despite his strong on-screen persona, Russell struggled with internal conflicts throughout his life. He was a proud former Marine, but secretly haunted by his wartime experiences. As a result, rumors spread about his strained relationship with producers, his political stance, and his refusal to comply with studio demands. As his reputation declined, so did his health. He suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, a condition exacerbated by years of smoking, and by the late 1980s he could barely speak without gasping for breath. Industry insiders whispered that he had refused treatment out of pride, alienating friends and former colleagues. By 1991, the once powerful cowboy was a frail shadow of his former self. John Russell died on January 19, 1991, at the age of 70, in Los Angeles, of emphysema. His death went largely unnoticed by a new generation unfamiliar with his era, but his loyal fans mourned it quietly. At the time of his death, Russell's estimated net worth was around $1.5 million. A modest sum for a man who had been the face of law and order on television. Pedro Gonzalez as Carlos Robante. Estelita Rodriguez as Consuela Robante. Estelita Rodriguez was born on July 2, 1928 in Guanaje, Cuba. At age 30, she played the vibrant and seductive Consuela Robante in Rio Bravo, 1959. Bringing humor and charm to a film filled with gunfights and tension. With her seductive looks and fiery demeanor, Estelita stood out even in a supporting role. It was a rare shining moment in a career that never quite reached its expected heights. Behind the camera, however, Estelita's life was anything but rosy. After signing with Republic Pictures at the age of 14, she was quickly pigeonholed into stereotypical Latina roles. Always the hottie, never the star. The industry's narrow vision and subtle racism left her exhausted. She was married 4 times, including to actor Grant Withers, but none of the relationships lasted. Rumors spread of abuse, depression, and burnout. Friends said she felt used, forgotten, and ultimately abandoned by the very system that had once celebrated her. Tragically, on March 12, 1966, Estelita Rodriguez was found dead in her home in Van Nuys, California, just one day before her 38th birthday. The cause of death was never publicly confirmed, leading to rumors of a drug overdose, suicide, or even foul play. Her sudden passing shocked those who remembered her dazzling screen persona, and her burial at San Fernando Mission Cemetery received little media attention. At the time of her death, Estelita's net worth was estimated at less than $500,000, largely from residual profits and modest investments. It was a quiet end to a life that had been full of promise and brilliance. Ricky Nelson as Colorado Ryan. Ricky Nelson, born Eric Hilliard Nelson on May 8, 1940 in Teaneck, New Jersey, was just 19 years old when he landed the role of Colorado Ryan in Rio Bravo in 1959. At the time, he was already a teen idol, loved by millions for his dreamy looks and smooth voice. In the film, Nelson shed his boy-next-door persona to play a fast, loyal gunfighter who earned the respect of seasoned men. His performance transformed him from a clean-cut TV star into a more mature, serious actor, youthful but dangerous and certainly ready. But Ricky Nelson's life has not been easy. Born into Hollywood royalty, he was thrust into the spotlight before he was even able to make his own way. From his early days on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet to topping the charts with hits like Hello Mary Lou and Travelin' Man, Nelson seemed unstoppable. But the rise came too quickly, and the fall was even worse. The British invasion and changing rock trends left him a relic by the late 60s. His marriage to dancer Kristen Harmon became a battleground of resentment and addiction. In the early 1980s, he was divorced, depressed, and mired in lawsuits and debt with the Internal Revenue Service (IRS). From playing himself on TV to performing in dying arenas, Nelson struggled to stay afloat while drowning in tranquilizers, loneliness, and a fading reputation. His final years were a desperate attempt to regain his sanity. Touring with a new band, chasing the echoes of the past, Ricky flew to small towns hoping to make a comeback. On December 31, 1985, he boarded a plane bound for Dallas. The plane caught fire mid-flight while descending near DeKalb, Texas. 7 people died, including Nelson and his fiancée. Only the pilot survived. Rumors of cocaine use circulated in the tabloids, but the official report blamed a faulty cabin heating system. At the time of his death, Ricky Nelson's net worth had dwindled to around $500,000, decimated by mismanagement, legal troubles, and grief. Claude Eakins as Joe Burdette. Claude Eakins was born on May 25, 1926, in Nelson, Georgia, and was 33 years old when he landed the role of Joe Burdette in Rio Bravo in 1959. As the film's main antagonist, Burdette is a violent, drunken criminal whose cold-blooded murder ignites the entire conflict. Eakins brings a terrifying presence and physique to the role, creating a villain who is both realistic and dangerously unpredictable. But beyond his menacing on-screen persona, Claude Eakins is a complex and quietly remarkable man. He was intelligent, thoughtful, and often marginalized by Hollywood because of his tough exterior. His size meant he was cast in countless heavyweight roles, making him feel like an outsider in the industry.
"I'm the highest paid nobody in Hollywood,"
he once joked. Despite appearing in over 400 television series and 50 films, including The Caine Mutiny and Moving On, he never really caught on with the public. He watched his colleagues rise to prominence while his roles faded into commercials and guest appearances. Offstage, he lived a clean life, married to a woman named Teresa for 42 years and raising 3 children with her. His final years were marred by illness. He was diagnosed with cancer and kept his battle with the disease private until the very end. Claude Eakins died on January 27, 1994, at the age of 67, at his home in Altadena, California. A funeral mass was held at St. Elizabeth Catholic Church, and he was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, alongside many Hollywood legends. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $2 million, a quiet fortune built on perseverance, integrity, and a tremendous amount of work.